friends, it's Miss Rose from the Cary Area Library again for another fun project for you to do at home. Today we're going to be using model magic, which is really fun, and we're going to make a little lizard called a gecko. Remember, we got lots of books at the library for you to check out to find out information about geckos. But let's get started. The supplies you will need for this art project are 2 colors of model magic, a pair of scissors, a plastic knife, a wooden skewer, some wax paper, a piece of cardboard, and pictures or a book of geckos that you could work from. The first thing you're going to do is open up your packages of model magic. Take the model magic out, and you're going to cut them in half. Scissors are good for this, or you can use a plastic knife, but I like to use the scissors. Okay, once you cut them in half, you're going to take 1/2 of each color and knead them together. You're going to be making a 3rd color. Any idea what color you think this is going to make with red and blue? Takes a while, and you kind of have to pull it apart and mush it together. You can twist it. And the more you knead it, the softer it gets, so that's good too. And what color do you think we're getting here? Alright, so if you want, you can leave it like this. So it's kind of swirled colors in there. This is going to be the body of your gecko, and the other pieces you're going to use for his legs and details. Okay, we're going to form the body of our gecko, and I put a picture up here so you can kind of see the shape of his head. It's kind of a diamond shape. He's got a little body, a little bit fatter there, and then his tail gets narrow. We're just going to be doing his body. We'll add the legs later. So I have what color did we come up with? It's purple from red and blue. All right, so then you're just going to kind of shape the clay with your hands. And you might have to redo this a couple times. I start with his head. Make his tail a little skinnier. So I kind of want to get his head like diamond shaped, which is a little tricky to do. And then his body is a little bit fatter. So I'm going to squish it together. And you just kind of have to work the clay to get it the way you want it. I'm just going to roll it a little bit. See if that helps. It's kind of bumpily. Alright, I'm going to try again. And you might have to do this a couple times. Alright, so we start with his head. Kind of pinching his neck. Then we're going to try and get the body. So I'm going to roll it a little bit. There we go, that's a little bit better. Trying to get his neck in there. Okay, that's pretty good for his body. You have to be careful because the clay will stick to the surface you're working on. So if you wanted to use your wax paper at some point to lay it on there so it doesn't stick to anything, you can do that. All right, so I think that's pretty good. Once you have the body formed pretty much the way you want it, you're going to pick your color for your legs and you're going to divide it. I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to divide it into 4 parts. Try and get them equal. You're going to roll them. And this looks like it might be a little bit big, so I'm just going to take a little bit off. There's one. Again, I'm going to take a little bit off. Don't need those big of a legs. Do the 3rd one. I'm going to take a little bit off again. Okay, let's see, we're trying to make them pretty equal. So that's pretty good. This one's a little too long. All right, so I got the 4 legs. The next thing you're gonna do is his toes. In the picture, you'll see that they usually have 5 toes. And a nice easy way to do this, you can do this with your plastic knife, but I find it's really easy to use your scissors and just cut 1, 2, 3, 4. So now he has 5 toes. You're gonna kind of try and separate them. Okay, so I have his 5 toes. And I'm going to kind of, thinking I'll have his leg, one leg bend forward. And this is when you're going to use your skewer. You're going to poke a hole right in there where you want the leg to be. And then you're going to try and just push that in there. Okay, we'll do the next one. I'm gonna cut 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna separate his toes. I'm gonna add this one over here. I'm gonna bend this one backwards again, so I'll take my wooden skewer, kind of poke a hole in there, and just kind of stick that in there. All right, we're going to do the last 2. I'm just going to go ahead and poke my holes. Be careful, it kind of sticks together. Try not to make the legs. My legs are pretty chunky. You don't want to make them too skinny because they will have a tendency to break off if you make them too skinny once the clay dries. My toes kind of got stuck together. together again. So I'm going to try and separate them a little bit. And our last leg. This guy lost one of his toes. All right, pretty much got his legs and his body shaped. All right, now that we have his body and his legs together, we're gonna add the details. So we can do little tiny, I'm using the red, and I'm gonna put that on the end of each of his toes, and those are his nails. See, I lost one. Okay, so you would do that at each one of his feet if you want to, just for a little bit of different color adding. Okay, for his eyes, they're usually on the side of their heads. So again, you would use your skewer, poke a hole in there. Okay, and I'm gonna use the red first, make a ball, and then I'm gonna give him some blue in the center of his eye, put that together, and then just put that on the side of his head, like that. Get some red. Add blue for the center. That right where you put the hole in there, and we have his eyes. Okay, so now you have to think of something to make his body unique. You can use the blue and your red left over. You might want to do stripes, so we can make like snakes, and then fold them over. Maybe you want a line right down the middle of his body. And some more stripes. Maybe you want to add some polka dots. I'm going to use this. I'm going to pull that off. So maybe you want to give him some spots. You can decorate your gecko any way you want. Maybe you want to use some red. Oh, I forgot to talk about the tongue. Okay, if you want to add a tongue to your gecko, Again, don't make this too long or sticking out too far because it will break off. Again, you're going to poke a hole. Put a little tongue in there. All right, so then you're just going to continue adding details to your gecko polka dots. You can use your wooden skewer also to do texture spots. So feel free to decorate your gecko any way you would like with added extra details using colors or your skewer. You want to let him dry overnight, so when you're all finished, and I didn't finish this guy, I still have the red tad to all his toes. I would probably add more polka dots and stripes along his tail. And then when he's all finished, let him dry overnight. Then the piece of cardboard that you have, you can use that while your gecko is drying. You can decorate it with other supplies you have at your house. Markers, crayons, paints. I use this kind of Easter grass, and then you can just mount your finished. This was a lizard or a gecko that I did earlier. He's all finished, he's dry, and I would just mount him on the cardboard for display. Thanks for joining me for this art project. I hope you had fun working with Model Magic. Remember, we have books at the library to check out if you want to find out more interesting facts about geckos.